Welcome to Possibilities.
Possibilities is a program that showcases the talent of persons with disabilities.
It's not the body that does it, but the brain that does it.
Possibilities.
Possibilities.
Possibility.
Possibilities.
Possibility.
Hello and welcome to Possibilities. My name is Abe Aiki and I am an amputee. Possibilities is a program where we showcase talents, aspirations and challenges of persons with disability. And in the studio with me today is a very interesting woman. She is a mother, she is a wife. In fact, she means everything to the disability community in Nigeria. She is the chairperson, Deaf Women Association of Nigeria. She is the executive director, Deaf Women Allowed Initiatives. She is also deaf rights activist. And she is also championing the cause of deaf women's sexual reproductive health in Nigeria. Please welcome Mrs. Helen Elisha.
Hello everyone.
And in the studio with us we have a sign language interpreter, Miss Deborah Dananga. She's a caterer and also she stands in for the deaf women in Nigeria and in the whole world. Miss Deborah, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mrs. Helen, how come about Deaf Women Allowed Initiative?
Deaf Women Allowed Initiative. It is an initiative that gives women access to sexual reproductive rights. If you look at today, deaf women are mostly segregated. They don't have access to information on health matters. Most of them complain on their matter. So with this initiative, we want our voice to be loudly heard by the society and help us so that the women can make decisions on their own, take decision on issues that has to do with their health matters, so that they will know the type of special cares to give for themselves. So this initiative come in. I'm happy to let you know that through this initiative, deaf women can have access to reproductive health in the hospital. They can tell the doctor their challenges because health is important to deaf women as a woman.
Wow. Okay, Mrs. Helen, what can you tell us about the Deaf Women Association of Nigeria? I learned you are the chairperson of Deaf Women Association of Nigeria.
I am the chairperson of Deaf Women Association, Duan, Abuja chapter. Before Duan came in, many deaf women have different kind of association where they come together, gather together to speak in one voice.
Okay.
But one thing was lacking. There was no voice for deaf women. Many deaf women, continue to face discrimination. There was no activities for them, no job, no access to information. Today, you hear about deaf women dying. So when Duan came in, through Duan, deaf women from nowhere, they come together, they voice out, bring ideas on how to help themselves. And in area of empowerment, advocacy, area of access to information, because deaf women issues is not a one-day job. So with this availability of Duan, it is across 36 states. Those women that have been eating have been coming out, to associate with other women. And most time, these deaf women have been seen as a burden to their families. So for the first time, they have been coming out to speak for their rights.
Okay.
They have come out to tell the whole world that they have the ability. If we are out to give freedom to ourselves, we have right to so many things. So with Duan, we have we have a lot of women, more than 200 and 300 women,
Okay.
who are out, to speak for the first time in the north. In the north, a lot of men don't want their women to come out to speak out for themselves. Most of them have not been to school, they are just at home, doing nothing.
Okay.
So they face a lot of challenges in the north. So now they are coming out gradually.
Wow, that's interesting. So, Mrs. Helen, were you born with a challenge or you acquired during the course of time in life?
Very interesting question.
Okay.
I was not born deaf.
Wow.
Like, I was born like every other child. No parent wants to give birth to a deaf person.
At all.
My mother didn't pray to give birth to me as a child person. I was born just like every other normal person. I could speak, but in 1993, I came back from school and I had little fever. And the fever, I couldn't eat, and my mother took me to the hospital. And the nurse was like, the doctor was not around. She felt like, okay, she should give me a drug, that injection that will reduce the fever.
Okay.
That was the injection that was given to me that ended my journey as an hearing person in life. But I'm proud of the person I am today.
Wow, I can imagine. How did your mother feel after the whole incident?
Every mother, like I said earlier, every mother does not want a bad thing to happen to his or her child. To have a disability child, most of them sees it as a curse.
Yeah.
But my mother is a strong woman. She's a very strong woman. She saw my deafness and she was like, first of all, she tried everything possible to see how she could heal it, heal my deafness. Took me to churches, different kind of places. And when my mother died, after 1 year, after my father died, after 1 year I became deaf. And we were 4. So she abandoned the 3 of them and make sure that I become somebody. She was praying. The funny thing was that she took me to, hospital. They poured anointing oil in my ears, did all manner of things. I was pressurized every day of my life, praying just for me to hear. But as time goes on, she just accepted the fact. I was like, well, she cannot hear. What next? She met someone and the person told her that what next is education. She needs education to, to change the situation. That was a difficult journey.
Yeah.
Because our in-laws abandoned her. She was the only person who took care of me, who was by me.
Wow. So what can you tell us about your educational background? How did the journey start and where are you right now?
Like I said earlier, I was normal, just like every other child in school. And then when I became deaf, I was in a hearing school.
Okay.
So when I became deaf, I was still in hearing school. So it took time before I was taken to a deaf school.
Okay.
But before then, for 2 years, I was, with normal hearing student in my normal school, but I couldn't understand what was happening. It is when I see the students moving around, I will move with them. So after 2 years, I was taken to the deaf school. From there, gradually, I learned, sign language, and then I went to Federal College Teacher. From there, I finished it. Now, I have a degree in guidance and counseling from University of Abuja.
Wow, that's interesting. So, Mrs. Helen, you are Mrs. Helen. That means you are married. How did you meet your husband?
Wow, interesting question. My husband himself is hard of hearing.
Okay.
I am deaf. I met him some years back. Sometimes I used to feel like I will not marry because I'm deaf. And I was a proudly Igbo lady. I'm a proudly Igbo lady.
Okay.
So because of my culture, I love everything about my culture. So I wanted to marry an Igbo man, that will eat Igbo food, enjoy Igbo food with me. I didn't want to learn other tribal food. But as God has his own plan for me, before I met my husband, I was thinking of going to study, to study in the best university in Nigeria. That's University of Ilorin, because it has access. It's accessible for we the deaf people. So I met him in Abuja, and we started as a friend. We became very close. I met him in a program actually. So I reported him of my boyfriend, what my boyfriend was doing to me. I told him what my boyfriend was doing to me. So I never knew that he actually was interested in me.
Okay.
So I just told him, complained to him that I didn't like what this my guy was doing. So he told me to leave him. I didn't know that we had a plan. He just went straight to my mother and told my mother that he's interested in me. That's how we got married. This year will be our 8 years.
Wow, that's interesting. Viewers out there, will go for a short break, and when we are back, Helen will tell us more about meeting her husband, how the family life is. Thank you. Welcome back. And Mrs. Helen, you were telling us about your husband. So what was your in-laws' reaction when they find out to know that you are from a different background to your husband?
Every in-law expects, their son or their daughter to marry within their culture and not outside their culture. First of all, they were like, wow, Igbo, is expensive to marry them, Anambra people. They used it to scare my husband, but my husband was like, this is the woman I want to marry. I'm interested in her and I want to marry her. So they had no choice than to support her. And then they traveled to the east to marry me. It was interesting,
Okay. So Mrs. Helen, you are a mother. How has the experience like? Your first child, how was it?
Wow, truly, to tell you the truth, being a mother is not easy, but being a deaf mother is a bigger challenge.
Wow.
My first experience of motherhood, the experience I've never had in my life was, if it were to be other children with disabilities, I will understand, but imagine, I couldn't wake up in the night. When my baby, cries in the night, I couldn't hear when the baby was crying. So my first son went through hard journey, because I'm a deaf mother. If somebody knocks at the door, I will not hear. It is when my child looks at me, looks at the door, looks at me, looks at the door, I'm like, like somebody's at the door.
Then
I'll check the door.
Wow.
That was the experience I had with my first child. So when he entered school, I had no problem. During the PTA meeting, when I come for PTA meeting, I couldn't hear what they are discussing. Sometimes my child will, always want me to go for the PTA meeting, but it's always a challenge for me because I wouldn't understand what they are saying there. So I made use of my best time, best resources, to see how I can take care of them.
Wow, that's interesting. So how do you run the home, the activities in the house, the children? How do you cope?
Well, as a mother, I know my job.
Okay.
I also train my children. My son, I have 3 boys.
Wow, that's interesting. 3
So
army
it is
generals.
my responsibility to train them. As early as he was at 3 years old, I started training him how to wash his pants, how to sweep. I also, gave my time to them. As he is now, he's 7 years old, he can sweep, he can on gas cooker, he can do 1 or 2 things in the house. I run my home myself. I do everything myself. I take them to school. I do everything by myself.
Okay, Mrs. Helen, the last UN convention you attended, what was the last
Global
UN?
Summit.
Yes, Global Summit. What was the experience like?
My experience in UK, the Nigeria structure is not same with the UK.
Okay.
During the Global Summit, different people came from different countries to share their goals and experience. I noticed that they have more unity. Their structure is much more than our own. They give more attention to persons with disability in other countries. It's not like Nigeria here. They have right to live. They have right to be independent. They have right to speak for themselves. Society also have their own role, to carry them along with them, because disability comes with no expectation. Yes. So it just comes. Nobody expected it. So as it comes, you have to accept it the way it is. So I spoke at the venue, as one of the panelists. So we spoke on our challenges, on how we have access to reproductive health care, the challenges we face. Most of them are not free to share their experience when it comes to sex. It's common everywhere. But persons with disability, especially the women, are always, shy to speak about it because they feel like we are not accepted in the society. We have feelings for sex too. We have right to sex.
Okay.
We have right to say yes to sex, and we have right to say no to sex. It is part of our right. So as a spokesperson over there, as the first time, we have to accept the fact that we don't have to be shy away from it. We don't have to be shy from sex.
Okay.
We have right to it. Because they make fun of us like we are in one place, we can't move to one place. So they have right. We have right to the hospital. we have right to the kind of family plans we want to use.
Okay.
If you want to have sex, go ahead and have sex. Nobody should, stop me from having pleasure. So this was the area I spoke on over there.
That's interesting.
So we share our experience. The spokesman over there said, if I have to have sex with persons with disabilities, but I'm afraid to hurt her. Why?
Okay.
Who told you that if you have sex with me as persons with disability, you are hurting me? No. Somebody. Most men nowadays can easily sleep with a 15 years old girl, and then you look at a person with disability who is 30 years old, you feel like you want to hurt her. No, it's not like that. Sometimes persons with disability, we ourselves makes people, we make people to pity us.
Yeah, it's true.
Instead of us to show them that yes, we are sexually active, just like normal person. Show them that yes, we are sexually active. So it was interesting. Many women with disability, came out to speak on their right to sexual and sexual reproductive health.
I guess that was an interesting meeting then. Mrs. Helen, with my few time in the disability community, I have seen you have contributed so much to the growth of disability community and mostly the Deaf Women's Society. So in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
In the next 5 years, firstly, before myself, I'm looking forward that in the next 5 years, wherever deaf women, all the deaf women with disability, to be free from discrimination, to have access to wherever they want to go to. We want the club, party club, to be accessible to us.
Okay.
To have fun because it is our right. We want proper structure to be in place. I want the deaf women to be able to move around freely. Deaf women can also go to the hospital, to have access to the hospital with the doctor. We want the society, to be inclusive. That's what I want to see in the next 5 years. We want freedom. We want freedom because we have been eating. So for myself, the next 5 years, my dream is very big. My dream is big.
Share with us.
For myself, when I finish my work in Nigeria, I want to leave Nigeria.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, Mrs. Helen, what message do you have to persons with disability who are hiding from the society, who are doing nothing to help themselves and also help the society?
You are not responsible to your misfortune.
Okay.
I want you to come out, show the world that you are able, you can do anything you want to do. Secondly, women with disability should come out and speak for themselves.
Okay.
They shouldn't be eating, they should come out and speak for themselves. He who wears shoes knows where the shoes itches.
Okay, Mrs. Helen, one last word for the society. Just a little. Yeah.
For everyone in the society, the barriers comes from the society. Please and please carry us along and break the barriers. Include everyone in every area of life, because one day you may face what we are facing today.
Exactly.
Thank you. Possibility. Potentiality. The history will not forgive you.
Okay, Mrs. Helen, it has been an interesting time with you in the studio. Please, when I call on you, will you still come? Because I'm interested in the aspect where you want to leave Nigeria after you finish your work, so that we'll discuss it more. Okay, viewers out there, it has been an interesting edition with Mrs. Helen. This is where we draw the curtains of today's edition. You can join us same time, same station for another interesting edition. And we are also open for partnership and sponsorship. You can get us on the screen, number on the screen. Thank you. I've been Ave Aiki, your host.